Our Cerritos crew is set out to help a society that lives in an environment completely controlled by a computer, a guardian. Not necessarily unique to the Star Trek world.
Duana, what does the custodian do?
It frees us from all burden. It takes care of all our needs.
Corisonia, a Federation world, is controlled by a benevolent computer that is in need of some updates. Also, our Lieutenant Boimler gets his first mission as lead officer, with Tillin there who helps back him up. Meanwhile, on the Cerritos, Mariner, Tendi, and Rutherford have a mission of their own involving entirely too many isolinear chips. But our three have a plan for revenge that may or may not go off as expected. These adventures and a few others in our episode 3 of season 4, Cradle of Vexilon. Yeah, this was a really fun episode that saw some of our standard crew doing some not so standard things. Or maybe a little too standard in some cases. Yeah, this is our standout scenes and review for this episode, so let's get started. My first standout scene is so many isolinear chips. Yeah, it seems pretty obvious early on that this is not an order given to somebody who's just recently been promoted. This is something you give to someone who's been in trouble or needs to learn from the ground up. And once you've made lieutenant, you kind of figure you know your way around an isolinear chip. And so we find our 3 remaining lower decks crew, at least ours, remaining on the Cerritos, trying to scan each of these isolinear chips, looking for the one culprit causing trouble. That, oh, by the way, if they don't find it, could mean the entire ship basically destroys itself or implodes. It's going to be a mess, according to Dirk. And just when we think those 3 have a better idea, Dirk turns them around, inspiring with his trauma that he suffered while being trapped in a Wadi game. Yeah, that story was kind of funny, and I believed it. I mean, you never can tell with lower decks, be honest. And so, yeah, the introduction of those isolinear chips was great. And then continuing that storyline right up to Tendi, doing all the work on her own to save herself and her friends for getting in trouble trying to prank him. Well, in the end, he did get his isolinear chip scanned, so yay! My second standout scene is going to be distracting with a chat about music. Now, this scene was short, especially this particular scene, but the one that really gets me is that great line of Mariner.
It's really about the Brizzles
Yeah,
flarps.
you know, it sounds wet, and that is what I like. Please continue.
Not only does this kind of show that she's the quick thinker of the group, on her toes, out the door with Dirk, but it also shows that, yeah, she's a quick talker. It's something you don't really notice while you're watching this show, but when they were on Strange New Worlds, boy oh boy, could you tell the difference.
Okay, so one time Boimler dragged me to the Starship History Museum.
Dragged? You ran up to the doors.
No, I didn't. It was boring. I hated it. Anyway, so they had the NX-01 there, Archer's Enterprise.
Yeah, classic design. Plus it had, you know, the grapplers.
Skip that part. They don't care.
But what really sticks out with me is that line. It's worth another listen.
No, it sounds wet, and that is what I like. Please continue.
Now, my third standout scene for this episode is Boimler learns to lead. Yeah, Boimler obviously took everything over early on. He just didn't have the confidence. To let his crew do their job. But finally, when things are going horribly, Tillin pulls him aside and talks to him about it. We find out he didn't want anybody to be a statistic. But more importantly, he didn't really feel like he had earned this promotion. He needed Tillin to actually assure him that after she read through his record, she knew he did deserve it. And that gave him the confidence to let his crew do their job. And at that point, that's when we finally see Boimler becoming a leader. Now, for my fourth standout scene, it's a really short one, but it was great, and the lead up to it was really fantastic. And that's the moment that we find out that on the Cerritos, hazing is real. Yeah, we see Dirk and Ransom at the end there, toasting to the poor lieutenant suffering under their command. It gives Ransom a bit of entertainment and joy, and quite frankly, probably Dirk as well. And we've reached that halfway point. If you've enjoyed this video so far, please don't forget to like and subscribe below. You can always join as a Patreon or a member of this channel to get a little extra content, sometimes behind the scenes updates. And if you're a Patreon, you'll get these videos with no ads on the Patreon side. Of course, if you'd just like to do one little thank you, I always accept super thanks below. And now let's back to the video. For my first honorable mention,
at the Hall of Justice.
Okay, this isn't part of the honorable mention, but did anybody else see that? I really got this Halls of Justice vibe from the Guardians building. But I want to get to our captain, the IT goddess. Yeah, I usually give a character a little honorable mention here, and this week it's going to go to our captain. My goodness. If you've heard me talk a little bit about my past, I went to school for computer information systems, and this was a fun scene for me. Everything going wrong. She has the manual. She has know-how. She has training. She has a computer that does not want to follow the rules. Or at least not the rules that she thought were in place. I love that her character rolls up her sleeves just like her daughter. It was a great little moment of, oh, okay, now I see the resemblance. It was great to see every moment just be more ridiculous as the computer boots up, shuts down, goes evil, and then apologizes. This is where we're really thankful that Boimler figured out how to be a leader, because if that hadn't happened, we would not have gotten friendly computer back. Vexilon apologizes, and the computer is back up and running properly. The captain successful in her IT attempts. At least that's going to be how I remember it. It's how I remember all my computer repairs. Honorable mention number 2 is going to go to the anomaly storage room. Now, obviously, Lower Decks, great for Easter eggs. They throw them in like every other sentence. But a room of Easter eggs, a room of things to remember in Trek. It's sort of like that transporter scene last season.
These transporters are classics. Did you restore these? Yeah, I'm a bit of a buff.
It's great. You recognize at least something, if not everything in that room, depending on how obsessed you are. It inspired a great revenge prank for Dirk, whether it happened or not. Really is a shame they had to take that down. Dirk ended up deserving it, kind of. But it is always fun to see what Easter eggs Lower Decks will throw in each episode. And kind of like that first episode where the whole thing was a Voyager, this was scattered, but all with a theme of things that can go a little weird because of the effects of an outside influence, aka the anomaly storage room. My third honorable mention is going to be Boimler's death vision. Now, for one, when they take the time to throw in something like this, I always wonder if it's a clue to something that could come up later. This doesn't make me think less so just because Mr. Koala has once again returned. He likes to show up when somebody's dying or ascending or doing something otherworldly. Who knows what he may show up for next? But overall, it does seem a shame to throw in that little scene of death for no good reason. And I do want to say that because Boimler was looking directly to the koala and we saw two visions of him, I kind of wondered what his clone's up to right now. I mean, I know he's in section 31, but, what's he doing? Now, my fourth honorable mention for this episode, it's probably a little surprising, but I did get a kick out of it. It's the Betazoid gift chest. Okay, it was really weird when I was a kid and watched that face move, and Deanna is getting the gift for her upcoming nuptials. It was interesting, but it was weird. It is no less weird in cartoon form. No one expects their chest to talk to them unless it's Alexa and you've bought a smart chest, which I'm sure someone will invent now. Or not. The thing's kind of annoying, especially if it does the whole parrot thing.
They just tend to pick up phrases they overhear.
It was funny that it sort of revealed who had been in the anomaly room before and who had come up and apparently said something a little interesting. The doc had been in there, obviously. I will say, though, if he was going to experience a moment with the Russikins, an entire lifetime like Picard, it's a shame he didn't get a flute. Overall, this episode was really entertaining. It was fun, and I enjoyed the different subplots going on. It wasn't too much, and it was just enough that the flow kind of kept going. Having no opening scene in this episode seemed kind of strange. Did anybody else notice that? I wondered if it was just so much story all at once that there was too much happening at the beginning to find a good spot to break it up. But it was an unusual thing to see no opening between the "this is Star Trek" and "this is Lower Decks." It was good to see that as Boimler was a leader, he did not completely skip making Talin's statistics correct. He didn't get anyone else killed, but he did get himself killed. Luckily, the doc was able to bring him back. Overall, I would say that Starfleet's IT tech support is it's stellar occasionally, if luck is on their side. And while the most important thing out of this entire story is that Billups, he got his ferret back. Lancelot is home, safe and sound, where he should be. And so is the rest of our crew. Everyone got back fine. The Corisonians' world is fine. The system was completely restored thanks to our captain's quick thinking and a little rerouting. And hey, the Cerritos won't be exploding because they did find that one naughty isolinear chip. Now I would like to do a one-time special award just for this one episode because I doubt it will ever come up again. And that is for an incredible completion of the Wadi game. Stellar time. It has to be under every record ever known before. The lieutenant was running through each shop so quickly, he barely had time for a drink. And so this award goes to you, Rutherford. Incredible job. Well done. Now, if you have any other thoughts about Lower Decks this week, or if you completely disagree with my picks, please feel free to comment below. Let me know what you thought of this episode, and feel free, please, to subscribe and like. There are a few other links below if you'd like to help support this channel. And if you'd like to see more Trek content, please check out any one of these videos, and I will see you there.